want a second look.
Yeah, there's something about this one, isn't there? Familiar somehow.
We think we're stuck in a specific fragment in time, and we've been repeating that same fragment over and over again.
But the flirting's over, Sherlock. Daddy's had enough now.
Hello, welcome. You've seen it before. TV reviews with connections in mind. Star Trek Strange New Worlds has finished dropping all 10 episodes of its second season. They're all available on Paramount+. It is, once again, has Akiva Goldsman and Henry Alonso Myers as showrunners. And once again, this season focuses on Captain Christopher Pike and the crew of the USS Enterprise as they go on various adventures, encountering unusual alien species and unusual travelers altogether. Now, this video review will contain spoilers of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, but I'll be doing my spoiler-free thoughts up front, but just so you know, there will be some spoilers later on in this review. So, first and foremost, let's get into some spoiler-free talk on Strange New Worlds Season 2. Is it as good as Season 1? Is it a good series to watch overall? I would say, yeah, continuing on with Season 1, this is definitely one of the best start of the new Trek series that we've gotten in quite a while. I would say it's not quite as good as Picard Season 3, but this once again proves the strength of episodic storytelling as compared to serialized storytelling, where while serialized storytelling is not bad in and of itself, not every story lends itself to a serialized story. Not every series needs to be serialized. There is something innately fascinating about episodic storytelling where, yes, it's the adventure of the week, where, hey, you know, they're meeting up these people, and they're going to maybe play around with this genre for 1 week, and then next week, oh, they're somewhere else, they're doing something different, and hey, maybe they're going to play around with these kind of tropes for a little bit. And hey, if one episode doesn't strike your fancy, you can skip it. They're gonna, you know, if there are serialized elements, and yes, the previously ons can definitely catch you up on those serialized elements, and that's it. You don't need anything else. It's perfect. You don't need to have any to be, you know, intricately detailed everything, every little thing. You can grow your characters along the way and still have, you know, adventure of the week kind of stories, standalone stories that work on their own 2 feet. And this is what, you know, TV in general has been moving away from for years now, and I'm glad shows like Strange New Worlds can bring it back in a way that makes it feel fresh and unique and showcases these strengths perfectly, in my opinion. So, you know, there's some episodes that work better than others. I will freely admit, you've probably seen in the trailers, there is a crossover episode with Star Trek Lower Decks where, you know, through circumstances, ensigns Mariner and Boimler transition to an alternate universe and go back in time and encounter the crew of the Enterprise, and they are now live action, and it's the same actors that voiced them on Lower Decks. Is it fun? Sure. I found it a little. It wasn't my thing per se. I love Lower Decks, but I don't think these two necessarily needed to come together. But hey, that's the thing of episodic storytelling. You know, you can experiment 1 week, and then, you know, if it doesn't necessarily work, you don't have to. You're not committed to it later on necessarily. Just like there was also in the trailers, I believe, there is a musical episode, which I'm hit and miss on musicals. I like some, but I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the genre overall, and of musical episodes inside series that are purportedly serious, I'm a little bit leery of, but gosh darn it, I was turned into a believer. I entered that episode kind of skeptical, and it worked out very well. I was genuinely surprised. So that was one where I was personally pleased. There's another one where one of my other personal favorite of the season is the episode Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, where we see La'an go back in time with Captain Kirk. The Captain Kirk, although not the Captain Kirk as it's shown in the episode, or rather it's Captain Kirk from a alternate timeline, go back in time together. And that one actually has ramifications going through multiple episodes. And, that's an example of you can have a standalone story that with a character that, the character is still dealing with those feelings, those repercussions episodes later, but that episode still stands alone as its own story, and it works well. Like I said, this is I have very few faults with this this season overall. I will say some of the character turns that they make with some of the characters, like there's a story arc with I believe they introduced it maybe in season 1. I have to go back and rewatch it, but they explore it more with Dr. Mbega, and there's some of the things that they choose to show. Okay, I mean, you don't see a lot of him in. I think he's in 2 episodes of the original series, so they're expanding his backstory a little bit in this series. That's fine. The decisions they make, I'm not necessarily thinking that those were the best per se, but that's your mileage vary on that. And also this series overall, because it's a prequel series, and we've established that it's in the prime timeline, meaning it's not like in the Kelvin universe where it's a completely alternate timeline where anything can happen to anyone. We know how these characters are going to end up, and so when a character that you've seen in the original series or elsewhere gets into danger, there's no danger there. They're going to get out of it fine. So that is the same kind of problem that a lot of prequel series and movies have. So that just kind of goes with the territory, unfortunately. And while this season didn't lean on that a lot, there were a couple instances, one in particular, especially with the finale, where I'm like, okay, we're dedicating a lot of time to this. We know they're going to be okay. So that's that would say that was probably one of the more major flaws, I would say. But even in the grand scheme of things, that would still be relatively minimal. Also, this repeats the trope from, or I guess not trope per se, but repeats the theme from the finale of season 1, where the finale of season 1 of Strange New Worlds introduced us to this the new casting of James T. Kirk, and that was like the surprise reveal. There was a surprise reveal of a legacy character in this season's finale as well, and it wasn't bad, but I'm like, do we really need this? I don't necessarily know we needed that. So again, minor niggles, but overall, this is a great season. If you love Star Trek, if you love if you liked the Star Trek overall, but you feel like the original series is a little too 60s-ish and slower paced and cheesy for your liking, I highly recommend Strange New Worlds, because it's still the crew of the USS Enterprise. It's still the prime timeline, but it is modernized, and it does play more towards modern sensibilities. And you're still getting that great what made Star Trek great, in my opinion. So, if I was going to give Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2 a letter grade, I would say this is a solid A. I will reiterate my point that Strange New Worlds continues to be one of the best, if not the best, show of new Trek that we've gotten. So those are my spoiler-free thoughts on Strange New World Season 2. Some spoiler thoughts now as to certain plot developments, character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. Just some, I'm not going to go episode by episode, but overall, but there are a couple of episode specific examples that I could point to. One is from the episode Charades. I believe that was the 4th or 5th episode of this season, where Spock runs into the anomaly and he gets his Vulcan heritage stripped away, and now he's completely human, and now he has to adapt to that. Made me think of an episode of Star Trek Voyager, Faces, where B'Elanna, who's half Klingon, half human, her Klingon and human halves get separated, and so there's a full Klingon and full human B'Elanna there. So now they have to figure out how to deal with that. And another Voyager parallel here. This time, in this season's episodes, Lost in Translation, when Uhura is getting these hallucinations, and it's coming from the aliens, the nebula. It's communicating to them that the refinery is killing them. Made me think of a different Voyager episode, The Fight, where the aliens in chaotic space are communicating through Chakotay's defective gene, making him hallucinate and see things. I suspect a lot of Trek fans might say that Lost in Translation is probably the better version of that trope than The Fight, even though I think I'm a big Voyager fan. I think The Fight is okay, even if it's not the best Voyager episode out there. And then finally, the finale. The finale of Strange of Season 2 here, Hegemony was the episode's name, and I feel like, they were already leaning into it with the Gorn episode in Season 2, or Season 1 rather, and now they're leaning into it even more, where the Gorn are basically xenomorphs in this world, and I got a strong Alien 3 vibe from this finale, specifically the trait of the Gorn where Captain Patel has been infected or infested with the Gorn eggs or whatever. And so when the little Gorn the Gorn youth or whatever comes into the shuttle, and you're like, oh, stand back, and then she stands in there, and the Gorn sniffs her, and then runs away. It's like, oh, why didn't he attack you? It's like, oh, because I'm carrying their young. And it's like, yep, where have we seen that before? Alien 3. So yeah, there's that. And also, I know the Gorn are cool, and now we have all this great new CGI. We can make the Gorn look better than they did in the 60s with the guy in the suit, but even again, this is the prequel problem. You want to dive so much more into the Gorn, and now you're going to have to twist yourself into so many different knots to not contradict what we saw in the arena, or especially Spock's reactions. I mean, again, I don't think he was in saw the Gorn face to face in the first season episode. He wasn't seeing them face to face in this episode, but again, you're tying yourself into knots here, trying not to contradict Arena here. And it's not necessary. Just find something else to do. Those are my main points of comparison with Strange New World Season 2 and what came before. What did you think of Strange New World Season 2? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to look for my other content on my channel, including my movie reviews, which I just put up my review of Blue Beetle on my channel. And if you like this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching. But just remember, there is nothing new under the sun, and yes, you have seen it before.